to share my, I've got my presentation here. If you guys want to just, you don't have to mute, it's just the three of us, but if you feel like you need to, if you're doing something else, feel free to do that.
What are the plants?
All right, so I'm going to mute you, babe. The nesting moon. So this is August new moon, was actually yesterday, August 8th, and I'm here in Colorado, so I had to move it up a day to accommodate my Renaissance Festival schedule here on the weekend. So thank you for coming on the Monday, the moon day. So the energies we're working with for the next month ahead, is the nesting phase. So gathering things, collecting little things, like, even though this is technically the height of summer, this is right in the middle of summer, right in the between summer solstice and fall equinox. We're right in that zone. So lots of abundance all around us, but the nights are getting cooler, and we're beginning to remember that, it's not always easy living, and we need to prepare. So it's a sense of like playtime, fun in the sun, but also preparation and what's next. We've got the sun in Leo. Leo is very self-interested. So we're thinking about what our needs are. Ruled by the sun, the life force energy, all this vitality, all this abundance, all this energy. And then we've got, coming in the next couple weeks, we'll be shifting into Virgo mode, which is practicality, methodical planning, and that kind of thing. So think of self-interest and planning ahead. The tarot cards for this month, the Emperor is a card of structure and order. Also the Devil card, which to me has always represented addictions and vices and things like that. So be very aware of how we're spending our time this next month, because how you spend your time is really gonna depend on what's next for you. So if you have goals in mind, we need to start working towards those goals. We can't just be relaxing all summer, even though August is a really great time of the year to kind of want to do that. We need to start preparing, getting ready for school and fall to come ahead. So all the fours, order, very structure. Think of a square and it's hard lines. When we just came out of the thunder moon, or the father's moon, of like discipline and like lessons learned through karma and like kind of hard lessons, and now we're like, oh, okay, I need to definitely prepare myself. So the next month we'll have the harvest moon, and we'll be singing and chanting and doing some mantras. Ileana will be co-hosting with, so I'm excited to plan with you a little bit on that coming up. All right, so the Lionsgate portal, we just are in this period, July 26th through August 12th this year. It peaked on the new moon yesterday, on 8/8, and the 8s represent infinite possibilities, empowering. So we're at dramatic new beginnings, new levels of consciousness. A lot of people talk about like downloads and sun codes, what physically is happening in the world. The sun is aligned with Leo and Sirius, the spiritual sun. I actually had to research this myself a little bit today. So that's what we get, this high frequency activation of the Lionsgate portal. So we have Leo, the sun, and the Sirius, or the spiritual sun, Sirius star, the North Star, all in alignment. So it's opening up this sort of manifestation doorway. So think about wherever you're putting your time and your energy and your efforts right now. what you're going to be manifesting of, what you're doing. I yesterday for the Lionsgate, I wrote down some of my goals, my big goals, and they're definitely coming true. I actually just got an offer on my house just 5 minutes before this this Zoom started, so I'm really happy to finally be moving forward with selling my house, and I've got some other goals coming up for next year that I'm starting to focus my attention on. So that's good things. Also with that whole the devil card and tarot, like be careful if we're spending our time like wasting time or just being kind of lazy. Like this is the time of year where it's like we're really starting to wherever you put your energy is what you manifest, is what I'll say about that. So try not to waste time and use your time wisely. So this is a really powerful time of amplifying intentions. We had Llamas August 1st. That's actually August 1st was the midpoint between summer and fall. So that's really the height of summer. We're really seeing lots of abundance all around. And that's why our topic today is wildcrafting, because there's so many wild things outside right now that we can start to look at and gather. This month, the full moon will be in Aquarius. So the new moon is always in the same sign as the sun. So we have Leo, new moon, Leo, sun. And the full moon is going to be in Aquarius this month. So 2 weeks from yesterday, we'll have the full moon. And it'll be in Aquarius, which is the opposite side of the spectrum of Leo. So I have my little chart here where I can always like reference, okay, there's Leo. What's opposite? Okay, it's Aquarius. I have my little cheat sheet right here tattooed on my arm. So I always know where the moon is compared to the sun. We do have a campsite available. I still will not be there. I'll still be in Colorado, but it is available for Sunday, August 22nd, if you want to watch the full moon rise in Maryland. There's a campsite number 42. Just show up. You don't need to check in or anything. This is just for you guys, for the friends of the New Moon Circles. Grab some of that full moon in Aquarius energy of freedom, revolution, and change. Another really great thing going on right now is the Perseid meteor shower. I've been lucky enough to see several of them, but lately here in Colorado we have really bad air quality because of the wildfires in California. So hopefully it'll be a clear night for you guys out there in Maryland or wherever you are to look towards the constellations of Aries and Taurus in the northeast portion of the sky. You'll see the Pleiades there, that little cluster of 7 stars, and that general area is where you're going to see the most meteors happening, and the peak days are coming up. It's this week, and the moon is still new, so it's going to be nice and dark. So hopefully that we have some clear skies so you can make all those wishes and make your manifestations come true. Okay, so diving into the topic of wildcrafting. Wildcrafting is a form of herbalism where you're not buying the herbs in bulk like this. You're not getting herbs from an herb store or in bulk or wherever you're getting. You're actually collecting them from the wild. There's a lot of benefits of this. Firstly, it's great for if you're traveling, you don't have to tend a garden. You can, wherever you are, there are plants there. For example, here in Colorado, usually I'm here in the summertime in June and July, and that's when the St. John's wort comes bloom. So right around the summer solstice, on St. John's Day is when that blooms. So it's also nature provides in the places where we live. So, there's all these different like Chinese herbs and different herbs from different places and South American herbs and roots and barks and so many things. But oftentimes the medicine we need is right here around us. So, nature just has a really amazing way of providing what we need. I'll talk a little bit more about biodynamics in just a minute. So the height of summer, there's so much abundance around us. We're going to see seeds, flowers, tons of leaves. They're really easy to identify right now because of all the flowers and seeds. And so this is a really great time to collect your wild crafting supplies. And it's also going to be fresh. So when you order the herbs online or you get them from an apothecary, they're often already dried and you don't really know how old they are. So fresh is best. Fresh, and it's the medicine you need because it's right in your back door. So we kind of talked about this stuff in the spring when the wild things are coming up, like the chickweed and the plantain and the violets and things with the green sprouts were coming up. So now we're starting to see more flowers and seeds and fruits. A few little rules about wild crafting. Definitely you want to make sure you have permission to be where you are. You don't want to go on private property if you don't have permission, because you don't want to get the police involved or get someone that owns a shotgun on you. You don't want to be where there's hunting happening. If you are in a public place like a park or something like that, make sure that what you're collecting is legal to collect. The only plant I know of that is protected, well, I can think of a couple now. Ginseng is one of them. It's not native to North America, but it is ornamental and it's protected. It's a little bit over harvested. Another one is mistletoe. It is native, but it is a little bit over harvested. So just make sure what you're getting. Definitely be sure to identify it properly. It's good to go on your little nature walk with a field guide, even if you know your stuff. There's apps now for your phone. Keith has a really great one called, What's This Plant? Is that what it is? What is this plant? I believe, and it's $20 a year or something, but it's really good at identifying what the plant is and giving some tips about it. Wear protection when you go out, sunblock, sun hat, gloves if you're harvesting thorny things like rose hips, rose bushes, any kind of like blackberries, raspberry leaves, blackberries. Those are going to be very thorny, brambly. You probably want to have long sleeves on, long pants, boots if you're getting into like anywhere that's soggy and mucky. Bring scissors, shears, a knife, something to cut. Often you can't just pick a plant, and plants don't really like to just be tugged on. Having some sharp little knife can help. And then lots of bags to put your things that you collect in. I like cloth or paper bags for collecting, a little pouch, and some way to separate them. So never collect all of the plant in one area. So the general rule is 2 out of 5 plants you can collect. But some people say even less than that, like 1 out of 10, like 10%. 10 to 20% of the plants is a general rule, never more than that. And if you find a plant where it's just one plant, don't take the whole plant. Like just take 10 to 20% of that individual plant. If you do harvest the whole plant, like you're harvesting for the roots, be sure to leave some seeds or make sure there's plenty of other individuals left behind to proliferate so that you can come back next year and to your secret spot and get your herbs that you found. Never collect in an area if you're not sure if they've been sprayed with any kind of chemicals, herbicides, pesticides. If it's close to a farm field where they spray, you want to have a buffer zone and be out of that, especially if you're making medicines like tinctures where you're concentrating the plant, because whatever's on the plant, even if you rinse it, whatever's in or on the plant, you're going to concentrate down. So it's going to bioaccumulate and make that chemical even stronger. So even the side of the highway, even though that's a really great way to spot the herbs that you're looking for because they're right on our path, we want to also have a buffer away from the car exhaust fumes and spills from the highway. Some places where to look. I took this picture last week. It was just walking through a neighborhood. A lot of the neighborhoods in Colorado, in Denver, I've noticed no longer have these grass, lawns. I'm seeing a lot less of that. There's a drought happening here. It's been ongoing for a long time. So people aren't watering their grass. They're letting the native plants grow, and it's really beautiful. They are kind of city, but side of the road, the neighborhoods are really nice because it's lower traffic. Public places, like I used to go to the local library in Salisbury and collect rosemary. They had this beautiful hedge of rosemary that they since removed, but libraries can be a really good place. The one here in Boulder, Colorado has a community garden, which has a lot of just things that flourish year round. A lot of herbs are there. They also have a seed library inside the library. There's a library in Arizona that also has a seed library, and you can take up to 3 packs of seeds per visit and just have them. So you can put the seeds wherever. They have a lot of heirloom vegetables. Community centers, downtown areas, a lot of downtown areas are putting more native plants and sort of permaculture type edibles out thanks to good city planning we have now. So the herbs and food plants are available to everybody. Hiking trails are great. If you do find a really great place or a location for your herbs, like I happen to know where there's a good stand of mugwort. So it's kind of like herbalists, kind of want to keep it secret because you don't want to send every person there to go collect what mugwort or whatever, because then you're going to have less and less of it. A friend's garden, a lot of people will cultivate some herbs and you can collect in there. I know my friend Courtney in Salisbury has a great garden full of herbs that I use her rosemary and her lavender to make some of my medicines and oils and things. Right. A little note on biodynamics to ask yourself, why is it growing here, especially if you're in a wild place like a nature hike where that hasn't been planted by humans, is why is it growing there? So not the plant is obviously adapted to that area, but also some people believe in biodynamics and that the plants are growing for us for a reason, for the animals, to support the animals and the people of the area. So like I mentioned, the air quality in Colorado has been really a problem. It's high elevation here, so right now I'm at like 7,000 feet, but in the mountains you get up above the tree line 14,000 feet and things like that. So the air is a lot thinner. We have issues with smoke, and we see mullein growing everywhere. And mullein's really great for supporting lung health. I'm actually running out of breath just talking to you guys right now because it's kind of smoky. And then the creosote plant, or Larea tridentata, out in Arizona is really good for stings and burns. So if you're out in the Arizona desert sunburn, or you get too close to a jumping cactus, a cholla, the medicine is right there, right next to the thing that hurts you. And in Maryland, we have a lot of stinging insects, and there's plantain everywhere. It grows like grass, just ground cover everywhere. Plantain's a great great plant to make an oil and use for mosquito bites, bee stings, wasp stings, anything. Even you can just take the leaf, a clean leaf, make sure it also doesn't have any dog pee or animal stuff on it. You could rinse it off, but you would cut up that leaf, like the plantain leaf, chew it up or break it up, and just put it right on your bee sting or your mosquito bite or assassin bug sting, whatever kind of thing stings you, and it's often right there. I've gotten 2 bee stings on my feet this year by walking in clover barefoot. I've used the plantain trick a couple of times already. So the parts of the plant, I have our friend the dandelion here. We have the leaves. The leaves are really great to harvest in the springtime when they're fresh and young. Before the flowers really or fruits start to appear, because the plant starts to put all the energy into the flowering and the fruiting bodies, so the leaves get more like dried out and less potent. The flowers are there to attract the pollinators so that they can be pollinated, and then the flowers turn to fruits. So if, like for example, roses, you have wild roses, you'll see the blooms, you'll smell them. Often that's how I find them, as I catch a whiff of them. And then you'll see after the petals all fall, you'll have the rose tips a little bit later in summer and early fall. Inside the rose tips are the seeds. And then the roots are the most potent part of the plant, typically, like for dandelion root. Hopefully you guys can still hear me because my internet connection is unstable. Beware of lookalikes when you're looking at plants. So the mint family is a good example. There's a ton of plants that look like mint that are in the mint family. Most of our the culinary herbs are in the mint family. The Llamaceae family, meaning the serrations on the leaves, the lips. It's almost impossible for me to tell apart mint from catnip. Even if I smell or taste it, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Luckily, those are both safe plants. Even the dead nettle is in the same family, and so is lavender and rosemary and thyme and oregano and marjoram. It's all in this family. And sage too. And then sage is a subfamily of the mint family, salvia. So those are often a lot of different types of sage. There's desert sage and white sage and so another look-alike I wanted to bring your attention to was yarrow versus Queen Anne's lace. That's one I get confused on a lot. Yarrow has these really fine feathery-like leaves, whereas the wild carrot or Queen Anne's lace looks more like the top of a carrot kind of leaves. They're definitely not as feathery and fine. The flowers look almost identical. And then the poisonous hemlock also looks identical. And the telltale sign for hemlock is going to be a little blotching of purple or red on the stem, if you see any red or purple on the stems of the plant. And it does look more like wild carrot, the Queen Anne. It's becoming more common. I've heard all over the Northeast, in Ohio area especially, so getting down into Maryland and all that too. So hemlock is an interesting plant. It was used by Rasputin as a poison to poison the king and actually help him control him. So it's an interesting little herb there that Rasputin used to have some control over the family, the Tsar. So some things you can make with your herbs that you collect. I like to collect a little bit and put on my altar. I'll put them in the dash of my car just to have some things from places I've been. But you can, on a more serious level, you can make herbal oils and salves. I'll show you some recipes here in just a minute. Herbal teas, like the mullein, is really good for your lung health. It's everywhere right now. And the flowers are good for ear oil too. You can infuse the oil and do like ear drops. As long as you don't have any perforation in your ear, it can take away ear aches and help with ear infections. But making smoking blends, something I like to do. Steaming blends for your face. I like to steam with like rosemary or mint, fresh. Just put it in a bowl, pour hot water over like you're making tea, and then put some sort of veil over and steam your face like so. You could also do that between your legs and steam your yoni. I give some specific herbs on another slide just for women. You can make edibles. Lavender flowers are really fun to cook with. You can make medicines, tinctures, where you're concentrating the herb and extracting using alcohol and other methods. And then just simple little crafts, like this mandala I made here at the temple, which I collected all these herbs in their garden at the Hare Krishna temple here in Denver. And then with a friend, we created this little mandala. It's got sage and sunflowers and oregano and rosemary and lavender and lamb's ear. Really lovely plants. You can make smudge sticks. Certain herbs are really good for burning. Pretty much the same herbs for smoking blends are going to be good for burning or just putting into your fire. If you're having a little bonfire, it's nice to add some herbs in there. Mugwort's a great one to burn. So I didn't want to go into detail about how to identify what plants what. I just kind of want to give you an overview of what the kind of things you can make and what to do, like kind of keep your eyes open. I trust that you guys are all going to have ways to identify the plant, and then from there you research it more and decide what you're going to make on it. Some herbs I like to use for infusing oils are calendula, or the marigold flowers, really good for your skin. Comfrey, it's a really hardy leaf. It's a low-growing plant. It's really good for as a topical for mending broken bones or tendons, bruising, things like that. You can take it internally, but it's no longer recommended because of issues affecting the liver, although I really don't think you can overdo it. The roots are going to be more potent, so stay away from that. But plenty of people still take comfrey internally, especially if they're dealing with broken bones and things. Plantain, like I said, is good for itchy bites and things on your. It's very soothing. Rose hips is really high in vitamin C, so I like to put that in castor oil for a face. Vitamin C will help with your elasticity, so I put castor oil with infused with rose hips for that high vitamin C face stuff. Rosemary is great for your hair and your skin and your nails, so I will infuse oil and I'll put that in my salve. Typically, I love to do rosemary, like I said, like a face steam. I like to put it in my shampoo bottle, which is just, I just use baking soda water with rosemary for shampooing, and in my conditioner is just rosemary with some apple cider vinegar diluted in water. That's how I love to use rosemary. Or you can infuse castor oil and get it in the roots there for really, really helping your hair with growth and thickness and things like that. The Larea tridentata is that plant I mentioned that grows out west in Arizona. Super good for healing scrapes and burns and any kind of thing you can think of injury-wise on the skin, abrasions. And if you think of the desert landscape, it's like scratchy and everything out there, the rocks and the cactuses, everything out there is to hurt you. And then there's this plant, Larea, there to heal you. I put my recipe for salve here. It's a tried and true recipe. I didn't come up with it. It was actually a person I met at the Renaissance Festival who makes salves, and is the same recipe for Nadine's creams. If you know of her, she's based out of Maryland. So it's just 2 parts olive oil, 1 part coconut oil, 1 part beeswax, and the olive oil is the part that I would infuse with herbs. Really important thing about oil and herbs is to make sure that the herbs are dry. If there's any water in there at all, your oil is going to botch and it's going to be awful. So get those herbs really, really dry. before you put them in the oil. You can use fresh herbs. It's just really, really tricky. You have to make sure they're completely submerged, and then even put a layer of alcohol on the top so that nothing can penetrate in there. So, so the St. John's wort is a really good oil to infuse fresh. And then you would just make sure they stay submerged and put that layer of alcohol on the top. Teas, just about any plant can be made into a tea. I've read several books on like wild edible plants, and oftentimes pretty much any plant can be made into a tea and safely consumed. You want to limit your poisonous plant intake, but it's just really hard to get sick from a tea from a plant. Here's some ones that I like. I think are best. Bee balm is really fun. It's another one of those mint family herbs that smells really good. It's also called bergamot, so it's got that really aromatic flavor. Chamomile flowers, these little yellow flowers, they're like little dainty daisies. Really great tea with lavender, chamomile and lavender, really good to have at night. Dandelion, you can use the flowers for tea, or the leaves make a good, like, a bit of a diuretic and good blood toner. And then the roots, even more potent of a tonic for blood toning. And it's also, if you roast the root, it can be a good coffee substitute. So it tastes similar. It's bitter and dark, but you get that added benefit of it's actually helping you by cleaning out your blood a little bit. Lavender, echinacea, those are those pink flowers with the really big heads, kind of look like the Maryland state flower, the black-eyed Susan, but they're pink, and so the leaves or the flowers can be made into tea. Really good for boosting up the immune system, and this is the kind of stuff we need this time of year, because as we're going back indoors and the weather is cooling, we're going to need that little immune system boost. I don't have it on this slide, but elderberry is another one that's coming out right now. People that know about elderberries are actively collecting them right now to make our elderberry syrups, which are going to help our immune system and keep us through winter nice and healthy. Nettles are really nutrient rich, but they're going to be hard to harvest because they're so stinging. Make sure you're wearing gloves and all that. Same thing with raspberry. They have thorns, but raspberry leaf is really good for women. So as a tea or as a steam, a yoni steam. Red clover is another one that's really great for women. A whole slide dedicated to herbs for women's health. Roses, wild roses, just typically they just have 5 petals. They're very fragrant and easy to identify by their serrated leaves and the thorns all over their stems. And then after the buds are all gone, you'll start to see the rose hips, which are that high vitamin C. You can actually eat them when they're really fresh, and they're really good vitamin C for you. Great if you're on a hike and just snack on those. Mugwort down here in the corner here, that's what mugwort looks like, and you can find this often in the wild. It'll be good for inducing flow and menstruation, so definitely don't want to take that while you're pregnant or already menstruating. Unless so different herbs do different things, and women's health is a very broad topic and lots of different nuances there, but these are some general herbs that are great for women: motherwort, lavender, raspberry leaf, rose petals, rosemary, sage. Yarrow is a great one. They actually used to put yarrow in kits in World War II because it'll stop bleeding. So you want to be mindful when you're taking these herbs. So if you take too much yarrow during your cycle, you could like interrupt the cycle and stop the bleeding too much. But if you're having too much bleeding, it's great to kind of slow things down. Herbs called emmenagogues will stimulate menstruation and can induce used to induce labor. If you're pregnant or to bring about a miscarriage, they're abortifacient and used in quickening the cycle. So there's some examples of herbs there, and you can go to the link Sister Zeus emmenagogues and learn more about that stuff specifically. Making smudge sticks is really great, really fun to do. There's one of the plants that's in danger because of overharvesting is white sage. So instead of burning sage for cleansing, consider a native alternative like cedar, rosemary, juniper, those kind of evergreens, really fragrant evergreens, rose petals, lavender. Mugwort's a really great herbaceous one if you're looking for something like sage. Mugwort's a really great alternative. And you just would wrap it up and let it dry, hang it to dry. You might need to tighten the string. I lost my connection. I'm on cell phone data. I don't have Wi-Fi out here, so actually only have a couple slides left. I'm really breezing through tonight because I know it's just really hard to pin anyone down in the summer and in August. It says I can't share my screen now. Oh, I'm a member and not the host. That's what it is. I gotta change myself to the host. Gallery. Let's see. How do I make myself the host? Is the question. More. Reclaim host. Here we go. I got it. All right. Back to the screen share. Okay. There's a great little video on how you can make medicine from it. And this is on YouTube. And this might be the thing that kicked off because this might be a little bit too much data. Swish this sour liquid in your mouth before bed to regrow teeth and gums. Yeah, so this is how a highly concentrated pain, how to harvest and use wild lettuce for pain. I've used it as a smoke or a tea, but I would love to make this medicine here. You can see she's cutting like a third, the top third of the plant. I'm gonna rinse it off. Take it away from the top. So in this medicine, you're not going to be drying it right away, so it's all I'm going to do is add it it'll to dry. So she's putting it in a blender and adding some water to it, so the macerate it. A really strong, big blender. Make sure it has plenty of water so you're not burning your motor on your blender. And this can be really done with any herb. The method they're doing here is just highly concentrated medicine. So in this instance, you definitely want to be sure on it, E. coli, anything that could be bad because it's going to be really concentrated. So after they blend all of that, they're going to heat it up and quicken the release of the plant's properties. The heat's just going to let it all kind of come together and release out of the plant into the liquid and into the whole mixture. So you're not getting hot spots or more concentrated. It's kind of all homogenized this way. Some plants, might be more potent than others, or a little homogenized. Combining it all, cooking it down, and also reducing it. So when they're cooking it in the slow cooker, that's going to some of that water. Because ultimately, we are going to be drying this eventually into a powder. So make sure it doesn't boil, and you can leave that on overnight until it reduces about half. Keep stirring it so you don't get hot spots and burn spots. And then they're going to strain that out, so you don't want all that pulp. We're just looking at the liquid. You can use a cheesecloth, also just really squeeze it, or I have an herbal press you can put it in after you drain it. You can put that pulp in an herbal press and really get it squished down. It's got like a screw on it. There's the cheesecloth. You can just squeeze it by hand with the cheesecloth. Those are really easy to find. Usually wherever the canned goods, canning supplies are, you can get cheesecloth at the general stores. So you're going to do that until you've strained and drained it all. I'm going to mute the video, even though it's a really great song by Nako. But I'm going to mute the video so you guys can hear me better. Sorry about the choppiness of the sound. So basically we're concentrating this mixture. We added water, blended it up, cooked it in the slow cooker, and then now we're separating the pulp from the liquid using a strainer and then a cheesecloth to really squeeze it out and get all that medicine. The liquid part is going to be the medicine part. So the thing they're going to do next is, squeeze that cloth out to get more liquid. And then they're going to dry out the liquid to condense the medicine to a powder. So they're putting it back in the slow cooker. They're going to reduce it halfway. Yeah, if your cooker's really hot, then you want to leave the lid off. So you see where the line was, where it was, and then where it is now, it's darker. So it's no longer clear. Now it's actually thickened up again, and it's ready to be dehydrated and made into a powder. Well, so what they're going to do next is get it all spread out onto a dehydrator. You can leave it out in the sun and just dehydrate it that way. Make sure, nothing gets on it, like contaminating your medicine. Or if you have a nice dehydrator, you can use that. So they're just going to spread it on a dehydrator sheet and put it in the dehydrator. So whatever kind of medicine you're trying to make concentrated, this is a really good way to concentrate a plant medicine. Similar to the way they make cocaine. But this is wild lettuce. So it's the effects of wild lettuce are similar to like an opiate. They can make you drowsy, pain relieving. So there they've got their little sheet all ready to go. She's just going to tear it up and then put it into the little into that little grinder there, the electric grinder, a coffee grinder, herb grinder. I have a special one just for herbs. I don't ever put coffee in it. And that'll make a really fine powder. And from there you can put it into capsules. You can weigh them out. When you're taking it, it's good to weigh it. You have like a little gram scale that'll weigh the smaller measurements, and then you can put it into capsules if you have a capsule maker. See, just got a nice fine powder there ready to go. Hopefully you can hear me better now. We've watched this a few times now, and I'm eager to try this method. I haven't tried it myself yet. Make some good condensed. So I always thought that herb powders were just like you just take the dried herb and you grind it up. But no, this is actually highly condensed medicine. So pretty cool. way to extract it, boil it down, condense it. I think that's it. You'd want to refrigerate them because you're still working with a fresh plant. All right. Berry juice, honey. There's tons of recipes online, so if you've got an abundance of berry or wine with it, I love castor oil. One of my favorite things ever, and of it, I feel like it just kind of calms all the nerves. Things. So it's just a really good. Yeah, that's it. So we started late. Wildcrafting 101 real quick. I wanted to offer. I really love Yarrow Willard. The herbal sessions are so informative and so fun. They're like does one plant at a time, and he just goes over all the energetics of it and the uses and and everything. I learned about on a podcast. She's the queen of herbal oils. So her website is healingherbaloils.com. Super informative if you're working with plants. The herbal emmenagogues, it's really hard for women nowadays because it's a little taboo to be taking control of our own cycles and things like that. A lot of the herbal books don't even have, modern herbal books don't even have this information anymore, and the older have been banned or removed from collections. So it's really awesome that this is available online. If you do any Googling about emmenagogues and abortifactant herbs, you get a lot of basically like brick walls of the internet and WebMD stepping in and saying how you should not do this. And then I have my website, Occidental Herbs, if you're interested in smoking blends, aromatherapy, if you're looking for more of the women's herbs and things like that. So I will just show you quickly the Herbal Jedi, Yarrow Willard. Definitely want to get notifications there. His plant talks are awesome. I've got my hair oil, the rosemary infused hair oil, castor oil for hair is on romanomad.com, same place where you go for the information for about moon circles, which you're in right now or watching later maybe on YouTube. So just go to the shop. Also on the Moon Circles, romanomad.com, Moon Circles is where I'll post the links to the YouTubes and the PDFs of the presentations. You also see the full schedule, what's coming up. You'll see Harvest Moon. Next month, we're gonna do a little in-person thing at the beach on Labor Day Monday, and then on Tuesday we'll do the New Moon Zoom online. So if you guys were looking for more of an in-person experience, definitely come out for the Harvest New Moon on September 6th at Assateague in Maryland. I will be just having arrived back in Maryland, and we'll be camping out, having a bonfire and things. Really fun stuff. And then we just have 3 more moons after that. The blood moon, we're talking about menstruation. The death moon, I'm going to go in to detail about some of the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the things I've been working with my teacher from Nepal and the death rituals. So definitely stay tuned the next few months. Thank you for being here with me and coming along. But yeah, if you want to order any of that oil online, you can get the face serum and the hair oil. I have my love elixir stills up, and yoni steaming herbs, yoni eggs, things like that on there. Occidental Herbalist is where you can find the smoking blends and anything with hemp, the salves, the soaps, the teas, things like that. Here is that Imenagog site, and take you back to the slideshow. Yeah, so if you want to support me, you can Venmo me, PayPal, Romanomad, Venmo at Romanomad. Definitely like, follow, share, subscribe, all of those things. I've got a playlist on YouTube that's all of the new moons since March. I missed January and February. I didn't record them. So everything since the Tantra mating moon circle is up on YouTube. So thank you so much for your presence and for watching. And I will see you guys next month for the harvest moon, where we will be chanting and doing all kinds of mantras and inviting some music and some community and things like that. So bless. May the Lionsgate portal manifest all your wildest dreams. Make those wishes on the meteor showers, and I hope all your dreams come true. Let's see. I'm going to stop the share. And then I'm going to stop recording. Namaste. Thank you.